Doni Jones, and welcome to the Doni Jones Show. We are super excited today because we have people in our show today that are making a difference in the world, and specifically making a difference with people that are the lost, the least, and the fallen. And I think that's important because a lot of times in our community, the first thing that we want to do is push people aside. Well, today on our show, we have people that are specifically trying to make a difference in people's lives that maybe we don't get a chance to think about. And I'm talking about none other than Paul and Linda Martin. We are so excited to have you on our show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I say so much for coming, but we're actually hanging out with them in their beautiful home. And thank you for your hospitality. Now, for the people that don't know, Paul, tell us about your organization.
Our foundation is called the GPP Foundation. It's God's Perfect Plan. It's a foundation that was built on, we call it the lost, the least, and the fallen. But it's actually when people are leaving home, we don't realize that, we may not be able to come back home the way we left.
Right. Now, when you say that, could you be a little bit more specific? Because it sounds like this started with something specifically that was akin to you, that was close to your heart. Would you say that you were one of those people that were the lost, the least, and the fallen?
Yes. I was all three plus one.
Plus one. What's the plus one?
Unsalvageable.
Unsalvageable. Okay.
When society thought that I wasn't worthy.
Yeah.
Or when they looked at me and they saw my record, if you saw my record, you would say there was no hope.
Well, what's your story? Where did you grow up?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
To be honest, and coming from New York, I spent most of my youth in detention home.
Gotcha.
And in detention home, I could run the gamut of finding out what everything that a person might do wrong. Yeah, I did it.
So how did you wind up in a detention home?
That one I wasn't prepared for. Okay.
Which is why we do this show.
Well, I wound up, I was a product of juvenile detention because of one day I found out that I was adopted. Okay. And I spent most of my childhood angry. But when I found out that I was adopted, I also found out that my parents had certain ideas of what they thought they needed to show me, and I found out that it was a lie.
What do you mean by that, if you can be a little more clearer?
When I came home to this house that was supposed to be my home, I actually met my foster parents who told me that they were my parents.
Gotcha.
And they told me they were my parents, but my father told her, mom, to tell him the truth.
Gotcha.
So it was always in the back of my mind that something was.
So you kind of knew something was wrong. So I guess that created a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, and I'm assuming you acted out when you were young.
I did, and then finally one day I asked my mom for a dime, if I remember correctly, and my mother had
like a dime or a dime bag.
No, a dime.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure.
She said.
No, I'm just.
But it's okay.
No,
But let me tell
you,
what happened was I asked her for a dime, but she had this habit. Yeah. Every time I asked for something, she would always tell me about, you just don't know how blessed you got it. And it got to a point, even as a child, it was annoying. Yeah. And I got to the other point was I didn't want to ask for anything.
Right.
The last thing I did on this particular day, I was going to the doctor on my own, on one of my first trips.
Okay.
When I got on to leave the house, when I got out of the house, I asked her for the dime, and she told me that. And I decided from that point that I was going to do something on my own.
Okay. And I'm assuming that what you did on your own wasn't quite legal and you got in trouble?
Okay. It wasn't legal.
All right. So you wound up in the detention center and sounds like you were in the system. But at what point, because we know people that have gone through tough times and we know people that have made some not so good choices in life. But obviously for you to be sitting here now making a difference with people's lives in your organization, the GPP Foundation, which can you tell the people what that stands for real quick?
God's Perfect Plan.
God's perfect plan. Somewhere along the way, God intervened in your life. So you're not on the streets. You're a happily married man with this beautiful wife. You've built a life. Where was the transition from being somebody that was in the system to being who you are today?
That transition actually happened way long after I met my wife.
Okay.
I'm a person, I had esteem problems.
Self-esteem problems.
Self-esteem,
Yeah.
and I hated myself. I had tried to commit suicide 3 times before I ever met her. And just, what I would find out is that Lord had always been with me, because actually my story started as a foster child.
Oh,
I never knew my mother.
You never knew your mother.
And so I was in and out of foster homes. My sister and I, we were in and out of foster homes. It was my 5th, maybe her 2nd.
Right.
I'm not sure. But my 5th, because I wound up in detention home. After I found out, the last time I went to the doctor with my mom, I thought my last name was Foster.
Right.
Really. And,
Wow.
So one day going into the back with the doctor, I asked him what was the name Foster meant.
Yeah.
And he let me know that Foster wasn't not
It's
your
not a
last name,
right.
And so I was upset, because I always knew her last name was Harris.
Gotcha.
So when I realized what her last name was, and I thought my name was Foster, I always wanted to know why I was named Foster.
Right. Well, I want to get into that story, and I know we may not be able to get into all of that, but I do want to highlight how you got to the point where you're at right now. I know you had a bout with cancer, and you feel like after turning your life around and after getting yourself in a situation where you've turned your life around, you're a happily married man, you wind up with cancer. I think part of your story is you said that God spoke to you while you were dealing with your cancer.
Well, what he did was he placed me in a position that I had no alternative but to say something or die. And so what I asked was, if you still had use for me, let me live.
And you lived. So what exactly does the GPP Foundation do?
Well, what we do is we try to look at people where they are.
Yeah.
We meet them where they are. We try to find out what their story is. And most people look at homeless or people that are disenfranchised, and we don't understand why they're there.
Yeah.
We hear stories maybe, but we don't ever get to the truth.
We don't get to the meat and potatoes of how they wound up there.
And so what my job is to be able to try to instill some worthiness from not just my point of view, but from inside of that person.
Yeah.
We want to be able to find out what they're going through, but we also know that we can't do everything that we want to.
Right.
So what we do is we try to give clothes, and we try to feed, and we try to mentor in ways that scholars want to be able to come down and analyze this situation.
Right.
Well, a lot of times that doesn't apply.
Right.
A lot of times you have to be able to talk to the person versus person.
Yes.
Be able to meet the person on the street. In fact,
so you actually get in the streets and talk to people, find out their story, find out what they need, and fill that need.
We try to fill that need. And that's what our mission is, to be able to fill that need.
Now, were you doing that before you had the cancer, or was the cancer a catalyst to you opening your heart up to do this?
No, actually, we always did things like Hosea Feed the Homeless.
Right.
I'm a champion of
it's a great organization.
Of those organizations. But we also knew that God kept meeting me on the sidewalk. Every time I felt good about feeding, he kept asking me, well, what did you really do?
Yeah.
He asked me, on Thanksgiving and Christmas was the most depressing day I would always have, because I was feeling good, but then when I walked away, those questions came. And the one that always bothered me was, what's going to happen to them tomorrow? Who's going to feed them tomorrow?
What's gonna happen after we do all? Because everybody comes together for Christmas and for Thanksgiving, but your organization actually does the in between time.
Right.
You don't just pick 2 days a year. You do it all year long. Now, how do you do this? Do you do it through church, or how do people find out about your organization?
All they had to do was just pick up their phones and just tap in gppfound.org.
Okay, and that's gppfound, FOUND.org. Now, what are some of the needs of the organization? Because right now, what we're trying to do is bring awareness to the organization so that we can attract people that will help you. What is the need of the organization right now so that you guys can continue to do what you do?
Well, what we try to get is we need donations. We need as much donations as possible. Everybody needs donations. We need funding, but we need resources to be able to go. Well, we've been to disaster areas.
Yeah.
We left here, Georgia, and went to Panama City, Florida.
I remember you telling me
We
about
went
this.
to. We send goods over to
Okay.
the Bahamas.
Yes.
We go. Where do we go, honey?
Puerto Rico.
Well, we want to hear a little bit more about that. And I actually want to hear from your beautiful wife also. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Once again, we're here talking to Paul and Linda Martin of the GPP Foundation. But it's not just the GPP Foundation. We've got some other things going too that I think that you guys will be really impressed with. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Doni Jones, and you are looking at the Doni Jones Show. And we are here with Paul and Linda Martin of the GPP Foundation. But before we went to break, we talked about how it isn't just the GPP Foundation. You also have another organization called Stand in the Gap. And I want to talk a little bit about that because you know, a lot of times people go, well, I'm doing enough with this one organization. I'm doing enough with this one thing that I'm volunteering and doing. But you saw another need and decided to fill that. Can you talk about how the GPP Foundation kind of morphed into opening up the Stand in the Gap Foundation? And then I'd love to introduce your wife.
Okay. Well, the standing. What happened was I was actually frustrated after going back and forth with my foundation of just trying to be able to give people things and not be able to take them out of the situation.
Right.
Well, one day I noticed I was getting tired, started falling asleep, and I found out that I had cancer. Well, Linda had just had cancer.
Oh, wow.
And she was 2 years, right, before me. Okay, today.
4 years.
4 years. So she actually had cancer 4 years prior to you being diagnosed with cancer.
But you were diagnosed.
2008.
Yeah, but you were through 2010.
2009.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
My bad.
All right. No worries. Me and my husband do the same thing. you know.
So what happened was, it got kind of rough for me.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, God just had a point where He just allowed me to. He came in and sat with me for a while.
Yeah.
He visited me, and I was open to His visit. And I just asked Him. You know, it was going through one of those real rough moments, and I just asked Him, if you still had use for me, let me live.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I even wanted to go on. It was that messed up, that particular
You
moment.
were at that very low.
Yeah, I
point
was
in your
the
life.
lowest of the low that I thought I could ever go.
Yeah.
And I said that, but then when I did, He waited, and then He said, "Tell me." Well, 2-3 days, and He said, "Tell your story."
Wow.
I thought He meant this story, the cancer story. But then what He did tell me was, there's been many times before cancer that I've saved your life.
That is so true. And I think God has done that in all of our lives, you know, and I think we take that for granted. And going to your wife, Mrs. Martin, your story is I guess I wouldn't say very similar, but both of you guys are both cancer survivors. Why is it important for you to do Stand in the Gap? And can you tell us how it originated and came about?
Okay, I'll give you a short synopsis of my situation. In 2008, May, I retired from work, and my plan was do a lot of traveling and whatever. But God wasn't in my plans. In October of 2008, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I went through radiation, chemotherapy, surgery, the whole 9 yards. I came through pretty all right as far as finances were concerned. But when it was his turn, by him not having a job or having any type of insurance other than our medical insurance, the struggle was really rough. Co-pays upon co-pays. Every time you had blood transfusions or platelets, which were many, $150 co-pay. So we saw the struggle of finances going through cancer, but also going through cancer. I met this dog that became a vital part of our lives. He used to come by my bed every morning, make sure I was okay, look at me, and
so you got a puppy, and the puppy was very.
Yeah, he wasn't no puppy. That was a grown dog.
It was a grown dog. But they say dogs can be very helpful with healing and stuff like that.
He was a throwaway dog.
Okay.
We end up
we took him in.
Taking him in. But getting back to the story, during my journey, a lot of people prayed for me and come fix food and what have you. So I was inclined, well, what can I do to give back? I like to encourage people too. However, I wasn't told to tell my story, but I guess I really was.
Well, you need to tell your story, and that's why I'm glad we're here, because I mean, it's unusual to have two people in the same, like husband and wife, both survive cancer, and then to use their resources and their time and energy to go out and help others. And from what I understand, specifically, Stand in the Gap helps people that are going through cancer right now. It helps them with their co-pays. It helps them get rides to and from their appointments and everything. Anything else that you want to let people know about Stand in the Gap?
Yes, we also give out Visa debit cards to people who have.
Can I get one? No, I'm just. No.
Sometimes a person will say, I need money for medicine. I need money for gas. I need a little bit of help, for with my copay. And also, we have one gentleman that I helped him get a $2,500 a year grant from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And it's a yearly grant that they give out.
Right.
And I also have partnered with another organization where I get different books on the different types of cancers, cancer guides, financial resource guides. So people will call and I'll fish through what I have and try to help them. But not only will I try to help them with resources, I try to help them as far as sharing my story and trying to encourage.
Yes.
I think that's my main thing, is to encourage.
Well, you're doing a great job of encouraging, and I want to encourage you all to give to the organization, specifically Stand in the Gap and the GPP Foundation. But I do want to talk more about Stand in the Gap. What are the resources that are needed right now? How much are you guys trying to raise right now, so we can let the public know, so we can all open our wallets and help out where we can? How much are you trying to raise right now for the Stand in the Gap organization?
Right now, we're trying to get $10,000.
Okay.
And what we want to do, we wanted to try to get a grant writer. So we actually looking for resources to get a grant writer to be able to help us with a training school.
Okay.
See, my wife.
Well, I think you're going to need more than $10,000 for that.
Well, I'm gonna need more, but I don't think that if I look at it the way God has moved me.
Yeah.
He's moving us in situations that he brings the gift to us.
Yes.
God has a way. All I'm trying to do is line it up the way he wants me to line it up. Yeah, I can ask for $1 million. I definitely could use it.
Okay. Well, y'all send $1 million.
But the truth of the matter is that if I'm looking at it correctly, he told me to do something.
Yeah.
And when I decided that I was going to do it, I lied to him so many times. And we all have said that we were going to do things if you just get me out of this situation.
Right.
Okay.
But look at you, you're actually doing it.
Now, but he told me that he reminded me that of all of those times, and it's amazing that God would flash that in your head and you can get it just like that.
You can, in an instant.
In an instant.
Well, speaking of in an instant, can you tell people once again how to get in contact with you and how we can donate or how we can give money to support your organization?
You can come to go to the GPP Found at Yahoo. I'm sorry, that's my email. At gppfound.org.
Okay.
All right.
And there's a place to donate
Yes,
on there?
and then,
Okay.
and then they go down to the donation, and you can donate. We do bracelets. That somebody doesn't have one on right now, but we do bracelets, and we create the bracelets.
Well, isn't that one? Is that one of
Yes,
them? Yeah.
we create these
Those are
bracelets
beautiful.
to help.
That's beautiful.
We actually started out creating them so we could be able to honor the memory of those that have gone on before us, those that are going through situations. And in that, we were hoping to be able to create it. You know what I wind up doing is making them, and I give all of them away.
Well, maybe in addition to giving them away, if somebody gives a donation, then they can get one.
Well, that's what we can do.
We can look at it that way.
And so in doing it, though, the reason why we actually did the Stand in the Gap, because God showed me that what I was going through, He asked me, what did I see?
Yeah.
Well, I watched her go through the journey that she went through.
Right.
And it clicked in my head, and you know, I had that little, I should do something, but
Right.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, when I went through it, I told him, and then he said to me to tell your story.
Okay.
So I thought he was telling me to tell my cancer story.
Yeah. But he was talking about tell your life story.
Right.
Okay.
And then what happened was I went to Mercedes-Benz Stadium for our reunion.
Okay.
When we went to the reunion,
Okay.
I actually watched, I was complaining because it was such a long walk. And I said, you know, I quit complaining. This man and his little baby girl, she was so pretty. She walked in front of me and I said, hey, she is so pretty. And he said, thank you. But then he turned around with his statement and said, she had cancer.
Wow.
And I said, oh, really? I thought that was the end. Then he said, I had cancer.
Wow.
And then he said, my wife had cancer. He said her mother had cancer.
Okay.
Well, I was kind of blown away off of that because I thought I was unique.
Yeah.
I really did, you know.
There's a lot of people with cancer.
And what he said was, he had cancer, she had cancer, and the mother had cancer. But when I looked up, I looked for mom and didn't see mom. And the thought was, where's mom? We got to the floor, looked across the room. I saw him. I saw the little girl, but I saw the chair where mom would be sitting, but mom wasn't there.
Mom wasn't there.
So we don't know what the answer is to that question because everybody want to know where's the mother. Well, we don't know. But the truth of the matter is, she might have went on. She might not made it on this side of living.
Right.
But that's okay if she's not in pain anymore.
That's right.
But what we looking for is to be able to tell that story. So the Stand in the Gap, actually, I recommitted to Stand in the Gap to go out more because you wouldn't have never been able to get me to do this interview. Yeah. Now, I talk a lot. I don't have a problem with doing that.
Yeah, we definitely don't have a problem with you talking.
But to be honest with you, that isn't one of the things that I thought about trying to do this.
Yeah.
We need help.
Yeah.
Because if I talk to anybody, my last word is, we were put here. We are ordained to do some special work.
Yes.
Everybody's got a job.
That's right.
And if we all just do that job, we could do some phenomenal things.
And we can make a difference.
We cannot trust other people to do what we're supposed to do. God created only one of you.
That's
You're
right.
only one Donnie Jones.
That's right.
And
one of you.
That's right.
And one of your beautiful wife.
And so what we are asking for is we're not asking for you to break the bank to bring it to us.
Right.
We're just asking you to help us make a difference in somebody's life.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. And you guys are already making a difference in people's lives. And we want you all to continue to help make a difference in people's lives. So we need you all support. Once again, they can reach out to you at the gppfound.org, gppfound.org, and they can donate to Stand in the Gap, or they can donate directly to
GPP. But now, if you want to do it cash would be the cash symbol,
Cash App? You
Yeah,
mean?
the Cash
Okay.
App is GPP Found.
Okay,
Period.
GPP. So y'all know, Cash App these people at GPP Found. I just want to thank you all for taking the time to do this interview and to tell us more about your organization. And I got a sneaky feeling that we're going to be talking again because you do have a story to tell, and we'd like to be able to tell that story. All right?
It's long.
Thank you.
That's all right. It's long. Thank you. You guys have a great one, and thanks again for tuning in to the Doni Jones Show.
Thank you.